Yeah. Welcome to week 6 of the course. It's the final week. Fabulous job throughout this short. I know it's difficult whenever we do sort of accelerated courses in a 6-week format. I know it can be really tough to keep up with the work. But the vast majority of you, I think probably 85% of the classes managed to keep up with the work on time, which are pretty good numbers in an online format, and especially an online accelerated format. For the rest of you who've fallen behind, there is still time to make up the work. I'll discuss all of that here in a second. Um, Other than that, a few things about love medicine I think may go first. I've looked at some of the discussion threads that are going to be due. I'm recording this video on Monday, and so that it'll be there first thing Tuesday morning for you guys. I've read through and graded most all of the work that's come in, and I've read through the discussion section. Some really interesting, I think, perspectives or theories or analysis on this idea of home and homelands in the novel. I think that those two things, this concept of home, I think shifts quite a bit. It certainly shifts for tribal communities in the United States and across the 20th century. Native people have, because of relocation, I mean, my tribe in and of itself was relocated about um, uh, 700 and some odd miles from our homelands in northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, to what is now northeastern Oklahoma. So this idea of migration and transmigration and this idea of home and homelands and remaking home and remaking homelands has been a part of the colonial process for Native people, shared largely by a lot of tribes, I think, except for maybe the Iroquois in the north. It's certainly not universal, the experience, and each tribal community's experience is unique unto itself, but there are some shared similarities, and I think this novel goes a long ways towards trying to capture as best it can what it means to sort of constantly be shaping and reforming identities based upon one's geographic surroundings, based upon one's familial settings, based upon the concepts of what a family is. I think the novel Love Medicine really calls into question, and what is a proper family? What is a proper nuclear family? What does the United States consider to be a family? And I think if you look at the history of the United States, that those concepts have always been shifting and fluid as well. And we've seen recently, just in the past couple of weeks, we've seen landmark decisions come down from our U.S. Supreme Court changing and redefining what a home is and what comprises a home and what is a legal home for that matter. No matter where you may stand politically or what's your no matter where you may stand on these ideas of what a home and what a homeland is and what it means to be a part of a community or what is a community, no matter where you may fall on any spectrum in defining what those things are, I think we would all agree that these concepts have always been fluid. And I think this novel goes a long ways towards trying to capture what it means for someone of, say, Nectar and Eli's era and Marie and Lulu's era to sort of work across the sort of 20th century. And then you get a character like Jerry Nanapush towards the end of the novel who's able to defy and move quite fluidly throughout all parts of native, this idea of homelands or sort of native community through both the urban setting and the rural setting of the reservation. We see intergenerational concepts about this. I mean, it's just a fascinating novel on how to define those concepts. And so we're going to continue on with that as we work through for this week. You'll be reading this idea of traditionalism and how traditionalism sort of operates in the novel. And you should have read, I opened up the assignments last week. You would have read Mike Wilson's Muted Traditions article, which I think is one of the best, I think, critical articles on this novel that I've ever read. Mike takes a pretty straightforward view of the novel. He talks about how traditionalism in this novel is not the same traditionalism that you would see perhaps in Fool's Grove. Traditionalism in this novel is actually quite muted. And I would argue even that it's always right there below the surface. And that's one reason why you see so many metaphors of water in this novel, to where people, and this metaphor of fishing, and how people are constantly sort of casting lures and casting lines and casting stories, casting lives out within these bodies of reality. And this body of reality that where traditionalism is always there, just submerged below the surface. And if you think about how the world is just geologically, and what role water plays in geology, and how water shapes and carves out the earth over millions of years to make these slow, deliberate changes, or something as crazy as a flood. And spring flooding when it's raining outside today, right? You could go on and on and on with this metaphor of water and this metaphor of fishing, and I just think the Wilson article captures all of that quite well. So you'll be reading that and writing. You've got quite a bit of work to get done before the end of the class, and I could probably talk and ramble on all day about this. So I'd be happy to, if people have any questions, please send me an email or get in touch with me, and I'm happy to sort of respond to you. But you've got to have, let me look here, I'll pull this up. You're going to be looking at all work, I guess, basically for the course is going to be due by about, sorry, I'm reading here, clicking through Windows, by Monday, July 13th. So by this, a week from today, I guess, all work for the course will be due. And then my grades, actually, all grades for this course need to be, I have to turn in the grades with the college, and I'm even cheating here a little bit and pushing beyond, I think, the boundaries of when I'm supposed to have them in, but I need to have them in by 11:59 p.m. on Friday, July 17th. What that means to you is if you've been keeping up with the work, just keep on keeping up with that work and everything will be great. If you've fallen behind in the course, then you have until just before midnight on Friday. I'll give you just before midnight. I'll give you just before midnight on July, get the work into me by noon on July 17th. I'll promise I will send out, I'll put all this in writing when I in this announcement that this video was recorded, but I'll have to have the work in by noon on the 17th in order to have any chance of getting it graded. There are no incompletes for summer courses that I'm aware of, so you'll need to get this work completed by that time. There's nothing I can really do. I think my hands are pretty much tied. Your best course of action is to simply complete the work for the course. And if you haven't noticed so far, if you put forth a good faith effort, you'll succeed in this course. It's as simple as that. All right. I wish we had more time to sort of discuss love medicine. I wish we had more time to work with Fools-Crow. I wish I had more time to maybe take you guys all the way through a much broader spectrum of the Native American literature canon. But this is the time we've had. This is not my last announcement. I'll be sure to check in with you guys again next week on progress and let you know and touch base again on the end of the course. But I've gone on way too long here for today, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. But as always, any questions, send me an email, send me a text, and I will respond to you as quick as I can. All right, thanks. Yep, watch